Riposta. Right?
What?
Is that an answer?
Resposta.
Resposta?
Resposta.
Yeah, that.
Você consegue se apresentar em português?
Oh, yeah.
Can you introduce yourself in Portuguese?
No.
I am. Eu sou
sou
AJ Good.
AJ Good. Eu sou AJ Good.
Eu sou AJ Good.
Easy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is the podcast formerly known as Disco, which in English is disco, which makes absolutely no sense. So you know there's a new name for it because you read the description, and so there's no point in me saying that I'm Maya, and this is on the record. And today I am here with a person who's going to introduce himself in Portuguese.
Eu sou AJ Good.
Perfect. That was very good. This is AJ Good here with me in the House of Masks with, who's behind us?
We've got just some hot Monster Jam action. We're getting very American.
Who's the guy that you're a fan of?
Gravedigger.
But Gravedigger is the truck.
Yeah.
What's the guy who made the truck?
Oh, okay. My favorite is Bigfoot. He's the OG. He's the
Bigfoot,
original.
yeah.
And that was Bob and Jim, and they're old guys now. But they're just, he's the king of the monster trucks. It's the greatest monster truck there ever was.
I love that we began this totally in the wrong foot because we're not talking about trucks.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. What are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about music.
Specifically, in what format?
Full-blown records.
Yes. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Did you study?
I think so.
Okay. Let's do this.
Okay.
Oi, gente, aqui é a Jéssica e eu queria agradecer a todos vocês por estarem aqui com a gente apoiando o canal Bandmade, assistindo nossos vídeos, comentando. E se você gosta bastante do nosso conteúdo, também queria te convidar a se tornar um membro Bandmade para você ter acesso a conteúdos exclusivos, como o Tour Sem Fim com o Estevam, o Photo Breakdown com a Maia e o Solo Breakdown comigo. Também a gente faz lives mensais apenas com os membros. E então é isso, muito obrigada a todos vocês e agora fiquem com o vídeo.
So when we put this on YouTube, you can't have background music because they won't let us. So I always suggest that people watch this and on a separate device, they put on a soundtrack for your episode.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think should be the soundtrack for your episode? What album is that?
Let's see what this record's called. I listened to quite a few things off of this. Placement Issues by Cinebrite.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's all digital and acoustic instrumentals, but they're very mellow. Very easy listening. There's a song called Engaged that I wish was just a random copyright-free song that I could use for everything that I've ever done, ever. All the vlogs, I would use it, everything. It's so good, it goes with everything.
Excellent.
There you go.
Okay, so my first question is not on the list, and it's not going to work because I've been here with you for the past 24 hours, so we're going to skip it, but I'm going to tell you, just so you know, which is when we recorded back in Brazil, we were always either at Family Mob, the studio, or at Front, the bar, or at other places, but mostly these. And my first question was always what album did you listen to on the way here? So I can't ask you that because you're never on the way to anywhere. You're always here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to drive for about 45 minutes to be on this podcast, what would you play then?
The first thing I put on anytime I'm driving now is Kendrick Lamar's latest record, GNX. I'm stuck on that one now.
Why is it related to driving?
It's really not. It's just what I like listening to at the moment. So where do you listen to music the most? In your car.
Yeah.
So.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about a record that you kind of rediscovered during the pandemic, those first months of lockdown, and you rediscovered something?
I started listening to Batushka's first record, Liturgia, maybe a year before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, I specifically remember when we would drive places because it became like a bigger chore. You'd have to remember to bring masks and hand sanitizer and whatever else it was going to be. And I remember every time that we would start one of those drives, I would listen to Liturgia again. And I think it probably played for like 6 months on rotation with no other car music.
If you listen to it now, will it give you like flashbacks to those times?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think of the second that it starts playing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Kind of
sense.
miss those days. Let's bring the pandemic back.
We can't say that out loud, but yes,
Yeah, bring it back. People stayed away from me.
it's the best part.
Yeah, loved that.
Just being at home.
Yeah, everybody was watching my videos, getting them views up.
Yeah, that changed a lot.
We need COVID 20.
No, we need like COVID with no symptoms. But just like, yeah, it's not gonna work.
Okay.
Sorry, but I really miss like just being home.
So do I.
Just being quiet.
It was a
Yeah.
good time.
What was the most recently released record that caught your attention? Don't make it like, it can't be like some mainstream thing that everyone saw being released.
My answer is mainstream.
It'll pass, because you're my first guest in English, so I'll let it slide.
It was Chappell Roan's Midwest Princess record. I love her. You don't like her?
I don't know music made by her. I know of her.
You don't know Pink Pony Club? We'll change that before you leave.
Okay. Can I say that you just like it because it's called Midwest Princess and you relate to that?
No. I found her through her imagery first.
Okay.
She's very drag queen-esque. And I loved the makeups she was doing because they weren't glamour. They were kind of gross and somewhat spooky. I was like, oh, she looks cool. And then I heard the Pink Pony Club song. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, that's actually really good. And then I heard a couple other songs. And then, yeah, I was just under the Chappell Roan spell. And then I found out that the record that those songs all came from were called The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, which I just so happened to be. So, checks out.
Okay, makes sense. You just talk about her makeup. Have you ever listened to the Lunatics? Okay, we'll change that before I leave.
Okay, deal.
Deal, yeah. You're gonna have a similar experience.
Good.
Yeah. What about the first? This is difficult because in Brazil this makes total sense because there's like this huge gap between independent music and mainstream music released through a established record label. So I don't know what's going to come out of this in the US because you guys have way more access to stuff. What was the first independent or local album you listened to?
So my dad was a roadie for a few bands when I was little.
Okay.
And when I say local, I'm considering Ohio local,
That's
because
good,
Chillicothe's
yeah.
non-existent. But there were people from Chillicothe that were in this set of bands, and I was at every show. Like, I remember they would refuse to play clubs that wouldn't let me in because I was underage.
Okay.
So the first iteration of the band was called Planet Disorder, and I still have a bunch of their stuff. Like the smashed guitar that's out there was one of theirs.
The black one?
Yeah. I have the giant Planet Disorder banner that they used to have. But they became other stuff. Like they were sporadic still, Low Life Revolution. No one is ever going to know any of this unless they're from Columbus and we're in the 90s. But those were definitely the first local ones. And I can still like remember those songs because they're all on cassette. I don't even think they were like releasing CDs.
Okay, that brought me to like my question to establish context here. Can I find them on Spotify?
No chance.
Perfect.
Never ever. No. I might be able to find like a later year's CD and
Okay.
show them to you guys, but yeah, I love that stuff.
Can you name an album so I can put it on the description here?
I think Planet Disorder's record was a self-titled record.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can we find the cover art?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's exactly what I wanted, because it always evolves into this question of, did you grasp the concept of independent music being made by peers?
No, not at all. Not at that time. I was way too young. I just thought it was cool that they had a band, and like at the end of their shows I could go up and like play the drums when they were done. That was like the furthest into it I got.
Okay.
But I do remember like we would go to shows in Columbus and they'd be opening for like I met Dave Mustaine. They were doing like a Megadeth show. They were just the local openers for that show. So yeah, I really thought that was cool. And I thought just a couple years ago, I was shooting one of my Halloween hunting videos in Portsmouth, which is like right on the Kentucky border. And we were in an antique shop and I found one of their CDs in the used CD thing. And I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, how'd that even get there? I wonder who and when this showed up. And I didn't buy it specifically so someone else could find it and maybe listen to that.
You're a great person.
Yeah.
You are a Midwest princess.
I am a Midwest narcissist.
Also, but a princess. I like that. But did it, okay, I know I'm like forcing this, but did it in any way later make you think like, oh, people around me can make music?
Oh yeah.
It was?
Yeah, once I grasped the concept of like the industry a little bit, I totally rethought about all of that stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Exactly where I wanted to get. So what about the opposite, not the opposite, but what's the latest independent or local album someone recommended to you or you found that like we're not gonna know about it in Brazil?
Mauled, the new Mauled EP that just dropped. My little sweet young precious baby boys.
Okay.
And I have a feature on the record.
Okay. Tell me why you like it so much.
It's good. It's so heavy. I'm biased because I discovered them at my festival. They kind of came out of nowhere, blew everybody's minds. Just actual like teenagers that are making this deathcore that was around when, like maybe when they were being born. But it takes me and like a lot of my viewers and stuff back to like the MySpace days, like heavy deathcore bands that were getting popular because of MySpace. And you would go to the same venue every weekend and you would watch the same bands every weekend, except they're even better and their shows are actually violent. I showed you the footage. It's what it should be. It's the stuff that I miss. I miss danger at shows and I miss heaviness. I feel like being heavy was like not cool there for a long time, which is fine, but I love that stuff. I mean, I grew up on very, very aggressive music, so to see it coming back and from young kids with all this potential is amazing. So, and they genuinely are good. I would be a fan if I didn't know them.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's good for context.
Yeah.
If you just stumbled into the album, you'd...
But because I am a fan and because I know them, I've tried to take them under my wing and guide them to not waste their potential. It drives me insane to see all of these labels and producers and managers that are like shelving great young talent for what reason I can't understand, but I don't want that to happen to them.
Good?
Yep. So the Mauled self-titled EP, that's my answer.
Perfect. What about an album by a band that got back together, like a reunion album, that surprised you? And when I say surprise, you know, it can be positive or negative. You can be disappointed or just like excited that it's good.
Limp Bizkit Still Sucks.
That's it?
That's the one.
Yeah?
How do you feel about Limp Bizkit?
Can I dodge that one and say Wes Borland is a very creative person in different outlets and ways of expressing himself?
Kinda. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay.
I love Limp Bizkit. And they fell off for a few years after Wes left. And that record was the first one that kind of like gave me faith in them again. Faith. Oh, that's a pun. It's a really good record. And they brought back like a lot of like hip hop elements that I feel like they lost there for a while too. And I love rap and hip hop, so that was important. But yeah, I think they released Dad Vibes as the single, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then it was. So,
Cool.
yeah.
So it was a positive surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about a record you had super high expectations for and deeply disappointed you? Was like not even subpar, it was just a disaster.
This one was left blank, but I think that I came up with an answer since then. We've talked about Ghost
Oh, we have.
quite a lot. I can't think of the name of the record, but it was the one that came after Meliora. Had rats on it.
Rats, prequel.
Yes. So, I know that it happens every time they're getting ready to drop a record, but Tobias says, this one's going to be heavier and darker and da-da-da-da-da, and then it comes out, and it's the worst trash I've ever heard in my entire life. So, that was my tipping point with Ghost. I was kind of on the fence because I could see where they were going with Meliora, and then they had the lawsuit, and they got rid of the actual band members. And then it became the Tobias Forge experience, and you could clearly see that the first 2.5 records were a lot of Martin.
I hate that I agree with you, but
They
go on.
totally lost me on Prequel. So I was severely disappointed when Rats was the single and Papa was dancing like this in the streets.
Papa became John Travolta.
Yeah, that was awful.
Have you listened to like later records and the one that just came out?
I've heard the singles when they drop them, but
You don't even try to listen to the full album?
no, I have no interest. I think I probably shouldn't say anything else. I just have no interest now.
Yeah, it's just like not.
It is definitely not the same band, which bands evolve and grow, but some bands do it gracefully, and some bands, I mean, you can clearly see, and anybody that tries to disagree with me on this is just objectively wrong. It was not Tobias's band from the start. Tobias was in the band,
Okay.
but I feel like it was a band and not a Tobias Forge experience. And Opus and Infest is a Mom and Meliora show that a lot. And then as soon as all those other guys were gone, it completely changed. And if you like that, that's cool.
Okay.
It's just not the version of Ghost that I had in my head and fell in love with.
Okay. You still listen to the first 2 albums?
Yeah, every once in a while I'll break them out.
Okay. What about a controversial album that you like?
Ooh, I have 2, but they're from the same band and they were like brother-sister records.
Okay, I'm getting the sense that it's not Limp Bizkit, but
It's not. Load and Reload by Metallica.
I hate this show. I want to stop this podcast. I don't
Why?
want to do this anymore because it's always with Metallica this and Metallica that.
Metallica was
there
important.
are other bands in the world.
They were important to a lot of people. First
They
double
were.
bass I ever heard was in One.
Okay.
Changed my life as a
Okay.
drummer.
Okay. I get it.
And Load and Reload are controversial because that's where people say that is the worst version of Metallica because it's the least thrashy, but I don't too much care for thrashy Metallica. I like songwriter Metallica, and they did some stuff on there.
The funny thing is, like, I just recorded this with Jéssica Falke. Like, this was my last episode, and people were pissed that she did not mention these 2 records as bad.
Really?
Yeah.
They're good records. From a songwriting standpoint, it's some of the best stuff they've ever written. Like, King Nothing is amazing, and Hero of the Day is amazing, and Until It Sleeps is literally a Nirvana song done better than Nirvana did Nirvana.
Mr. Director, do you want to intervene? Or you just thumbs up for everything?
Because he
Yeah.
knows.
You know, because in the last episode, he was being very vocal about his Metallica opinions, and now he's just giving thumbs up to everything you say. Okay, then. Fine.
That's how it should be.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
What about a record released by a supergroup, which was anything but super?
I don't know how super it can be considered, but like Vinnie Paul was in it, so I would assume that's a super group. And Chad Gray, the vocalist of Mudvayne, was in it, and Greg Tribbett, the guitarist of Mudvayne. They put together a group called Hell Yeah.
Oh, remember that.
I'm going to just go ahead and say, hell no. Stop it. Really bad. They had a song called, it was their first single, I think, that was like big, Alcohol and Ass, but it was spelled like alcoholin, like you're hauling a load down the road.
Oh my God.
Alcoholin ass, and holy dog shit. Am I allowed to cuss? Man,
You are.
Awful. Just so bad. So bad. It definitely pandered to a very specific audience of inbred morons.
I think saying alcohol and ass out loud is worse than cussing.
Yeah, bleep that.
I'm not bleeping.
I feel gross by saying it.
Yeah, I'm not bleeping because exactly I want people to feel like icky and uncomfortable.
Yeah, it made me want, like, I think we'll probably get to this later. I think that there's an answer about it, but Mudvayne's LD50 is like one of the most underrated metal albums of all time, and it kind of brought like prog metal to the forefront. It was like the first mainstream prog metal album, and then that guy goes and does alcohol and ass.
It's going to be on his resume forever.
What a pud.
Do you want to switch questions? Do you want to answer this one now? The most underrated album in history? Because you just said,
Yeah,
Is that
that is my answer.
That's your
Mudvayne's
answer?
LD50, I think, is the most underrated metal album specifically. But I can't think of another one that is as underrated as that.
Why is it underrated? What do you think people missed?
I think they missed the record because Slipknot was so gigantic at the time. That record dropped in 2001,
Okay.
and Mudvayne was just in the shadow of the Slipknot machine. Like, Self-Titled was so well received, and then Iowa was coming out in 2001,
Yeah.
and it was just this blanket over all theatric music, and Mudvayne fell into that. Their sounds are somewhat similar, but really not. But they wore face paint, and it was 2001, so it was like they just never had a shot at having their own identity. I've always argued that if LD50 had dropped in 98, they might have overshadowed Slipknot.
This is interesting conversation. It's like talking about 1991 when like it was Use Your Illusion, Nevermind, the Black Album, all in a span of like 4 months. And what if we switched release dates? What would have happened?
Yeah, I think we would be looking at a much different timeline of success.
Yeah.
So.
But still, like, there was room for the three genres.
Yeah.
You know, Use Your Illusion was huge.
Yeah.
The Black Album was huge, which is called Metallica. Jessica's gonna kill me if I call it the Black Album.
Yeah.
And Nevermind was huge, so.
Yeah. I felt like, I mean, I see the clear differences between, especially the first, like, two Slipknot records and LD50. LD50 it's prog rock, it's prog metal. And then Slipknot was like, heavier, like straight to the heaviness, breakdowns, blast beats. But there was also a lot more hip hop elements because they had a DJ and they had a sampler, and Corey could rap. So I think that there were big differences. But I guess to like the general public, just common music listener,
Makes no difference.
heavy metal and masks and stuff,
Yeah, of course.
whatever.
What about the opposite? What do you think is the most overrated album ever? Like the most overrated record in history?
Anything Taylor Swift has ever put out. Eras, 1989. Like, I don't know the names of them, but any of this.
You know the names of two of them. Have you ever listened to like a full Taylor Swift album?
No.
Okay.
Not front to back, but I'm sure I've heard them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just think out of all the pop stars, like, she's the one. She's the big one. That's like having Drake be the biggest rapper, which he is somehow. And he's trash. Sorry.
Do you think that maybe she has a deal with the devil?
Maybe she is the devil.
Take note. Tell me about a record that's misunderstood and you'd like to defend, to like make people see it in a different light.
Eminem's Relapse Refill.
I don't even know when that came out.
2009?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eminem had just come back from like he went away because he had like a crazy drug problem.
Yeah.
And he just like disappeared for a little bit. And when he came back, everybody was like, we miss the old Eminem, like the horrorcore, chopping people up. And then he put a record out that was full of that. He was like the most vulgar he's ever been, which is crazy because if you think back to the first two records, they were pretty intense.
Yeah.
And it just, nobody liked it. And then so it was Relapse was the the main record, but he put out Refill, which was an extended cut that had like a whole B-side of a dozen tracks or something, and they are so good.
What was it that people didn't like about it?
He was just, they didn't like that he was being himself again. Like, he was as vulgar as he's ever been. He was using funny voices and just had like so many gross punchlines, and he was attacking every celebrity that existed. But I guess for the mainstream audience, that time had come and gone. It wasn't edgy anymore.
Yeah. Everything had been done in terms of that.
Yeah. He just, they thought he was just like being, he was trying to be himself again, to grab the lightning that he caught in 99, 2000.
I'm going to have to listen to that album.
It's really good, I think. I mean, like, the beat selection is great. He was working with Dre again.
No, it's just because you said like he was making funny voices. And
he was like using accents and stuff.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs is, I think it's on the first album, and it's like this group of friends, it's like this whole narrative of a group of friends. They go to a party or something, and they take mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a D12 song. He's got D12 on there.
No. Okay, but it's on his album.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, because he makes all the voices.
Yeah.
He's all the characters.
Yeah.
And it's like a funny little story. So maybe I should listen to this one.
He's doing like Mr. Garrison's voice. Drugs are bad, okay? That one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. You defended it well. You
I think it's
have a
fantastic.
good argument. Okay, good. Okay, now tell me about a record by an underground band in a developing country that you believe deserves more attention. You want to help people get to know this.
This one was left blank also, so I guess I don't have an answer. Let's think here.
Do you listen to music from like other countries, especially not Anglophone countries? Like, do you listen to music in other languages?
I feel like I don't until it's popular enough for it to have reached me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like, what was the last one that reached you?
Till Lindemann
Okay.
has been doing stuff like just as Till that I think is really cool.
Yeah. But that would be really mainstream.
But then it's like, what if they are in English, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're
Like?
Mgwa.
Oh, tell me about that. What is that?
They're one of like the black metal big three, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And all their lyrics are in English, obviously, but they're just a very like dreary, atmospheric, like it's a guitar-based band for sure.
And where are they from?
I don't even know. Somewhere.
Okay, that's even cooler.
Poland, maybe? I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. What's the name of the band?
Mgwa, but it's
Mgwa.
spelled like MGLA. Yeah, Polish black metal.
MGLA. Do you know it?
Yeah. They're canceled because they have connections.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to change your answer?
No.
Fuck it?
No, they're a good band.
Okay.
I don't know about any of that stuff.
Okay. I want to pierce your heart, so I want to know, what was the album that you listened to the most in your life?
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, Slipknot's self-titled record.
Yeah?
Yeah. Obviously, did a lot
You're
for
not
me.
seeing that now, but the B-sides, like, can you show them behind the scenes that he has proof that this was the album that he listened to the most up to now? 'Cause Still?
Yeah.
How often would you say you play it now?
I really don't now. I'll hear a random one every once in a while, but I listened to it so much by the time that I was 10.
Yeah.
I have the whole thing memorized forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. What about an album that lost its shine or its magic over time? Maybe because you outgrew the album, maybe because you have more references now, or maybe because, I don't know, it got canceled, or someone said something, like a band member said something that grossed you out or something?
I would say it is hard for me to still go back and enjoy Ghost stuff.
Even the first two albums?
Even the first two records. because I have such disdain for what he did to those that it's like a chore to put them on. And once I do, I realize like, oh yeah, like this is good. This is why I liked that. But getting to that point is difficult because I have such disdain for what happened. Like, why did you take something that good and ruin it?
Okay. I'm sure that playing sold-out stadiums is not ruining it in his
Oh yeah,
perception.
I'm sure he's totally happy.
But I get your point, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still like it. I love the new album.
That's wild.
I
Hey,
fucking love it.
that's
it's
the beautiful thing
ridiculous.
about music.
It's dead rock.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just for dance.
fully, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to punch some drywall to the new Ghost record.
Perfect. See, you have found a reason to listen to it.
Yep. Go get me a couple monsters,
Yeah.
pop them open, beat my wife.
Okay, that part, no. But all the rest. Okay. So from someone who was listening to Slipknot's self-titled at 10 and just mentioned Chappell Roan, what's the most unexpected album I'll find in your collection?
I have a burnt Diana Ross and the Supremes Greatest Hits from when I was a kid that I still love.
Oh, childhood memories?
I love Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Was it like your mom or your dad?
My grandma.
Your grandma.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I love Diana Ross.
See, that's why the podcast can be called Disco.
Yeah. I love ABBA too. I don't have any other records anymore, but I used to have a burnt ABBA record that I would
Okay.
jam with my grandma also. So.
Excellent. Is it like a, what was the name of it? Is it a best?
They were just best ofs, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Unexpected?
I still think the Chappell Roan answer was more unexpected than Diana Ross.
Really?
I do.
The mask I was painting last night, the heart shape that I've been using lately, that is a Chappell Roan inspired mask.
I still think it's more unexpected.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because like the Diana Ross connection has an explanation.
Yeah.
And then the current pop music
Well,
star
I mean, the
doesn't.
explanation is her theatrics.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
drew me in.
of course, yeah. Yeah, in a way it has an explanation.
But come on,
so.
Diana Ross. You can't hurry, love. No, you just have to wait. So good.
Okay, good. Better than Ghost?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The worst record released by your favorite band?
Guar released 2 records post Dave Brockie dying,
Okay.
and I think that they are atrocious. I think that Dave was doing a really good job at leading the band into a heavier and heavier sound and like far more technical. So when Guar decided to stop making comedy music, like in like 2001, and they wanted to be scary again, every record got harder and harder and harder. And then Dave died, and they literally went from like a pretty technical masterpiece for Guar to AC/DC cover songs, essentially. And I'm not an AC/DC guy, but if I was, I would just listen to AC/DC. I don't want to hear Guar up there doing AC/DC.
Okay.
So I was very disappointed by those records. And I think I listened to them once when I got the CDs, and then never again. And that pains me to say, because I love Guar.
Yeah, I noticed. So, yeah. I get the AC/DC reference. It's like,
Yeah,
then it makes no sense.
yeah.
Sad.
Very sad. And saying that is going to make somebody in Guar mad at me, and then, whatever. But it's like, can't lie.
You can't lie. Nobody lies on this show.
No lying.
No lying. What's an album? So now we're going science fiction. And I want to know an album that you wish you could erase from your memory. So you could listen to it again for the first time now. And here, you can also have 2 choices. Since it's science fiction, since it's like a hypothesis, you can do whatever you want. So you either go back in time and you have the experience of listening to it for the first time as it was, just like repeating the experience, or you want to erase it from your memory and listen to it for the first time now with all the references you have. and all the background and everything you've accumulated over time?
I would combine both of those into one answer
Okay.
and still pick the same record.
Okay.
It would be Iowa by Slipknot, because when Slipknot first came out with the self-titled record, and I knew that I obviously liked the self-titled record and it changed my life and all this stuff, my dad actually was so like, they're not going to be able to do anything, like they're too heavy, they're not going to get radio play, they're not going to, whatever.
This is going nowhere.
Yeah. And it's weird because he's a fan. So I was wondered like why he had such a negative like connotation of the band. But then I remember Left Behind played on the radio, because we didn't have like the internet, and all we really had was magazines essentially to like figure out what was going on, and we didn't get magazines, we didn't have any money. But I remember Left Behind came on the radio. I remember the road that I was on and the car that we were in, and I was like, that's Slipknot. And my dad's like, it's not Slipknot, they wouldn't play them on the radio. And I was like, that's Slipknot, I know that's Slipknot, it has to be Slipknot. And then Iowa came out, I remember the shop that we went to get the cassette, and I remember the first time that we listened to it, and I was just like, holy fuck, I've been waiting for this since I found them, because the other record was out by the time I found them. So it was whatever, but now I had like this anticipation of like how and what else are they gonna do? And I saw the doubt firsthand, which is what they dealt with a lot from everything. So I was right there with it, and yeah, I remember listening to that again and being just blown away. I was like, it's even heavier, it's even fucking cooler. So yeah, definitely Iowa.
Okay. I think I kind of expected that in the answer. I thought it would say the self-titled, but Iowa makes way more sense.
Yeah, I went back and forth on that one, but I think because of like the preload that there was with that record, I definitely would choose that one.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience, like getting to know a band and then having the chance to expect something new.
And not many bands can deliver that. Like, I find myself disappointed a lot more, but like nothing beats the original. And I still think self-titled is my favorite musically, and just the era, like what they were doing with their shows and stuff. But Iowa's a pretty good, what would you say, freshman, junior record? Is that what that is?
Sophomore.
Sophomore record, yeah. That's a pretty good follow-up.
Yeah.
If all bands did that, I think fan bases would be a lot happier.
I just remembered I forgot a question, which you talking about this made me realize I forgot it, which was what's an album that you discovered and you liked, and then you realized or you discovered that the band was no longer active, or like if it's a solo artist, maybe the person even died or something like really tragic, and then you listen to it and you realize that you're never getting more of that or new stuff, or you're never seeing that live.
I gotta look for the answer.
No, but that's not there because I forgot to ask that one.
Oh, you didn't ask it in the thing? Okay. I never got to see Rage, and they're one of my all-time favorites. I never got to see Alice Cooper or experience any of their...
well, Rage still kind of tours.
Yeah.
But what album would you say that...
I don't know if I want to pick them.
Yeah.
I could pick, there's so many. Alice in Chains, but they still kind of do stuff, but it's like obviously not the same band because Lane's dead.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
It's fine. Keep thinking.
Yeah.
We'll edit it in later.
Ask me that one at the end.
Okay. So, since we're on the science fiction trail...
Nope, I got it. Faith No More. Faith No More is not active. Mike Patton has no interest in coming back to it. And I never ever got to experience that other than a greatest hits CD laying around where I was like, oh my God, Epic is so good and Midlife Crisis is so good. I love Faith No More. They're like a top 5 band for me. And I just saw another thing where the drummer was like, yeah, Mike Patton doesn't even want to tour with us. So,
give me an album.
I got to see what album my most favorite songs are on.
Are you super like hypnotized by the monster trucks? Because I noticed you're not even looking at us. You don't even, like if the mics fail, if something stops working, you're not going to realize it because you're just hypnotized by the monster trucks.
I would be between angel dust and the real thing, but I think I would go the real thing.
Great choice.
Thanks.
They're both. He just said the both are in the answer. It's fine. I'll take it. Okay. So since we're going on the science fiction route, I want to know an album you'd like to erase from history, and then it can be like because you want to change music forever. You want to just do it for selfish reasons because you think it sucks, and you don't want to have people having to experience that album, or you're just like being petty.
Prequel.
My God, you hate that album so much.
We can interchange it with anything that they've released since then also, if it makes you feel any better.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Do you think it would change? Well, it would change a lot if they had stopped completely.
Yeah, you know the old saying about like Tupac or Biggie or whatever. They never had a chance to become a Snoop Dogg because they didn't live long enough to sell out. You don't get to see your heroes live long enough to become villains. That's what happened. So if they had just stopped, we could have retired with 3 amazing records that didn't tarnish. Or if he had just changed the fucking name.
Okay. I get it.
We could still have Ghost, and then we could have whatever he was doing over there, and they could have had all the success in the world still.
Yeah. Okay. I get your point.
Yeah. This is just a ghost shitting podcast now. Sorry.
So I just found a name finally, and now I have to change it to I Hate Ghost.
Yeah. Just one episode. One and done.
Yeah, okay. What's an album that you wish you could like just be a fly on the wall and be in the studio during the recording and no one knows you're there? You're not interfering in anything. You're just watching.
It's Iowa again. I've heard the stories of that record.
Oh, what are they?
Just how awful the conditions were, like on purpose. Like Ross Robinson would torture those guys. And I think probably drug use was pretty heavy during that time, so they were all kind of fucked up and
on edge all the time.
Yeah, and they had just gone from like a bunch of nobodies in Iowa that were like painting houses for a living to being literally drug all over the world with no money on a bus, like 9 dudes in the band, let alone the crew. And they just said it was torturous. It was like they had to literally like hide food and hide their booze and stuff on the bunks to not have people take too much of anything, and they're just barely getting by. So I imagine like the culture shock was probably pretty horrendous, and then they were like the next big thing. So you got to think the industry was probably like, let's do this. You got to do this. You have to do this. We need this. And they were just like, fuck you. So they made the most like middle finger record to everybody except for themselves. And I just think that watching that come to life would have been pretty cool. Or maybe awful. Probably would have been awful.
Well, then we would get into this whole philosophical argument of the tortured artist making great art.
Yeah.
And they did.
Absolutely.
Because it's still like everyone's favorite.
Yeah. It's real.
Because
you can feel it.
Yeah, it's tense. It's a tense experience.
Yeah. The opening track is called 5 on 5, and it is it's like guitar feedback with this weird like chugging sound, and then these like screams start to come in. And I remember hearing those screams when I was a little kid, and I was like, I have no idea who it is. Like, it's not Corey, but it just sounded gross and painful. And then 10 years later, they put out a DVD all about Iowa, and they showed a bunch of behind the scenes stuff from touring and stuff. And there's these little segments where each dude gets like a 1-minute clip of them talking about Iowa. And Sid's part was that they were finishing the record, and he was supposed to fly out to go see his grandpa in England, who was dying, and he said it was like the last day of recording, and he got the call that his grandpa passed away, and he never made it over there. So he went in the booth and just turned it on and recorded his crying. So that shit that you hear at the beginning that's chopped up screams is him in there like going through whatever he was going through. And it just totally made sense and set the tone for the record. And it's like, what a heavy moment to have captured for that record. And if that was a precursor to what was to come on there, then like, I get that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I would like to be there
Yeah.
and watch this.
Yeah.
You can go. It's fine.
It's part of the experience. It's
I
a
know.
Slipknot thing.
What about the opposite? Like on this one, you were a fly on the wall. But on my next question, I want to know of an album that you wish you could have contributed to in any way. Like you do the artwork, you go there and scream, you take a picture which ends up like inside the album art, or you play an instrument. What album is it and what did you do?
The Marshall Mathers LP. And I would do whatever they wanted me to, just to be involved.
Just maniacal laughter, like
Yeah, anything. Yeah. I like making beats and stuff. I make a beat for that record. He
Yeah?
used very, very basic stuff, which I
Okay.
miss. But yeah, fuck it, man. I have to go take a picture for something. Whatever, literally whatever. You want me to give you some ad libs in the background? Yeah,
you do anything.
whatever. Just to be a part of that, such a monumental record for rap. It wasn't obviously his debut album, but I think it was better in every conceivable way, and he had the traction for people to really be like, oh, fuck, like everything he said is now a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Great record.
that would be a fun experience.
Yeah.
You just have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So, still science fiction. An alien lands on Earth, which Americans fucking love, this UFO obsession. Anyway, so the alien lands. The thing, this being, has never listened to music, doesn't know what music is, and it just lands in, like, here, your backyard. And you have the opportunity to show this being what music is. So how do you open this Pandora box? Like, what's the album you're going to show the alien to, you know, introduce this thing to music?
You guys ready to see my face palm?
Oh, God.
It's going to be And Justice for All by Metallica, specifically because one, the greatest song ever conceived is on that record. And what a perfect song. The record's great. I love Harvester of Sorrow. I love The Shortest Straw, but man, one is the greatest song ever recorded, ever.
The way you put it, it makes people think I hate Metallica.
I don't know why she hates Metallica
I
so
don't
much.
hate it.
She's been
It's
talking
just like-
trash about him all weekend.
The alien is going to have lots of opportunity to get to know Metallica. What if the alien listens to Injustice for All and decides to wage war against Earth?
Good. Clear these people out. We
You
don't need
have
a
a point.
pandemic if we got aliens.
You have a point. You
It
do
is
have a
time,
point.
man. We have done too much.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
Let's go with Metallica then.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts?
No, but I did think of a funny Ghost joke earlier when we kept coming back to Ghost. I was going to say, I guess you could say that their career really haunts me.
Okay, this is gonna...
Can you guys believe she likes being my friend?
No, I'm just thinking of like getting Portuguese subtitles on this with the jokes and the puns. Thank you. You made my life hell. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good. Okay,
Oh, wait. Happy birthday.
thank you.
On camera.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for recording with me on my birthday.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
with me on your birthday.
Yeah. Having butter pecan coffee.
Butter pecan coffee. We've been skateboarding. You guys rode some silly bikes yesterday. It's been a good time.
Yes.
And now I just gave you the opportunity to stick so much goofy B-roll in here.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're watching this, thank you. If you want to watch more stuff which is not so goofy, you can check us out on Patreon. We also have some exclusives here on YouTube that you can also check. And subtitles. Oh yeah, if you're on Patreon and you stumble upon content that's in Portuguese, there are English subtitles. If it's not subtitled, then it's probably already in English. Anything else, Mr. Director? We're good? Okay, so thank you if you stuck it out and stayed here with us for about, 1 hour and 6 minutes, which is our less? 50 minutes? Whoa, you're good.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we will see you all on our next episode. Bye.
That was a hard one. Thanks for hitting me with that one.
Thank you. Woo!
Very good. Very big. Very.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Oh, you're fast.
I do kind of make videos and stuff for a living, so
I thought about that in the middle. I was like, he's making
people are
my
gonna be like,
job
"Who the
easier.
fuck is this guy?"
Oh no, they're not. But I was like, he's making my life easier because he has arguments.
Good. I thought I sucked. I was like,
No.
man, she probably hates all this.
No, it was great. It was really great. I just wish I had turned off my phone or whatever. Você ouviu? Até meu alarme tocou, porque tem que botar o lixo pra fora. Tocou meu alarme de tocar o lixo pra fora, não, hoje é segunda. Tocou meu alarme de buscar o lixo lá fora.
You can do one of these.
This is, no,
You can do one of these.
On the Record is an independent podcast. It's kindly hosted by Bandmade. This month's episode was recorded in Chillicothe, Ohio with AJ Good. It was edited by me. It was directed by Esteban Romera. I also did the subtitles with a little help from ChatGPT to speed up the process. You can support our project by becoming a member here on YouTube. There are links in the description. There's a join button somewhere. You can also support us on Patreon. It's the same exclusive content that you get here on YouTube. And yeah, that's it. Stay safe. I will see you on the next episode. Bye.